Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball Podcast, episode 72. I'm Adam Miller, and I'm here with Jaren Will each and every week, and we are going to be bringing you the news and notes on all 11 Division I schools in the state of Indiana, because in 49 states,
it's just basketball. Not gonna lie, Adam, I had a slight concern that we would be canceling this week's episode.
Why? Because you tried to kill me? Friendly fire?
Yeah. It's so we'll talk. We've got some short form that'll come out here in the next week. I'm sure.
I want to air my grievances. You tried to break my ankle.
I didn't try.
You might have succeeded.
That's yeah.
Not like you. No.
If
not
I
like
tried,
you didn't cross me over. You didn't cross me over. We were playing 21. And I can blame both of you for this, actually.
Okay.
I can spin zone it to be both of you guys' fault.
Okay.
Because I was going up to contest your shot or whatever, or grab the rebound, whatever I was doing. And I land on your foot, sprained my ankle real bad. But when I watched, we were live. This was at 7 a.m. This was at 7 a.m. We were live.
On TikTok.
We were live, and I go back, I find the VOD, and in the VOD, I'm like clearly trying to guard you towards the middle where Logan is standing, hands on his hips. Literally just hands on his hips. When he takes his hands off his hips?
To go for the rebound?
To grab the rebound. The whole time just standing there. Doesn't even try and contest your shot.
I'd be interested to see. I think 90% of the time I have the ball. You're picking me up on the perimeter because you just trying to get the heart rate up and
Somebody's got to.
Absolute lockdown D on me.
Well, I know I'm not going to give somebody an open three. Come on.
And that's what I look for every time. But I think most of the time, whenever you're picking me up, Logan's always has the same. I want to look through the VOD just to see all of my possessions and what the percentage of him.
That'd be a fun exercise on Tuesday when we see him again.
Because I think most of that's how it is.
And the craziest
is he just lets you guard me.
The craziest part about that is I should be the person in the paint every time I'm not with the ball. But you know what? Sometimes you can have it all. So
But see, when
I'm wrapped up,
dude, no free dogs, dude, no free dogs.
They're an injured. You gotta be a certain type of sicko.
They do exist. But I mean, like when Logan has the ball and we play defense, I always try and go out and
or at least
guard him.
Alternate.
Guard him on the perimeter. Just obviously based on the angles of which, but there is switching that occurs.
If you are on the left side and he gets the ball on the left side, you will go guard him on the perimeter.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's even time.
Yeah, I guess it is literally always me who guards you. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. My offensive numbers would skyrocket if it was the other way around.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I'm bigger than him.
Right. You'd definitely be taking more jumpers, that's for sure.
Yeah. And even then, I could get to the rim a little bit easier and know that he's just going to body block you from blocking me.
Yeah, pretty much. So I'm injured. Yeah, I did consider not coming because, I can't walk. I've got crutches. It's a whole thing, but.
And the weather's not necessarily ideal to be.
I was like, I'm just going to be sitting in a chair. It'll be all right. I'd rather talk basketball to get my mind off of
the pain.
When the time basketball hurt me.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our power rankings because there was some shakeup there. But remember, if you're here on YouTube, if you're listening on the next day on Spotify or Apple, or if you're watching live on Twitter, YouTube, wherever, subscribe if you like the content. Like the video, it helps out a lot. But let's get into the power rankings, Jaren.
Yeah.
Hear it.
They're brought to. Well, I guess to them, to you all, to our listeners, by Crow's Nest Coffee. You can get 15% off every order using code TSOB at checkout. Or, like we've been saying all along, where we're working on it, you can also sign up for the subscription service. It is $24 a month. You get 2 bags of coffee every month. You'll get a random bag. If you have a blend that you prefer, you can let them know, and they will accommodate and send you a bag of that. But it's a good way to try out all of the different coffee that they offer while supporting us and getting a discount for yourself.
Yeah, I think the subscription saves you a little bit of extra money if you want to commit to it. If you don't want to commit to a subscription, 15% off, like you said.
And there's a direct link to the subscription checkout in the description on YouTube, as well as the description on Apple and Spotify. So go ahead and check that link. The link is also in our link tree on social media. So if that's easier for you, pull up our Instagram or Twitter or TikTok. Click the link to the link tree, and it will be there for your for your assistance, for your pleasure. And it is my pleasure to bring our rankings. So starting at 11, moving one spot down is Southern Indiana. They are on a bit of a losing skid right now, and it's just sad to see.
Yeah, and trying to take a fresh look at the whole resume.
Yep.
And decided that their resume right now was the weakest.
I think we spent more time on figuring out 10 and 11 than we did collectively figuring out the above 9, just because we wanted to
Don't
weigh.
tell them that. We spent the most deliberating your specific team.
True.
Unless it's Purdue. That one was automatic.
Right.
Obviously.
Right. At 10 is IU-Indy. They moved up one spot out of 11. That was, and part of that decision with Southern Indiana, figuring out whose resume was better. At 9, moving down 2 spots is Evansville. Unfortunately, they're playing right now, so we couldn't take that game into consideration.
Right.
And then moving up 1 spot is Valpo. They picked up a big win this week and are also playing Evansville right now. So it might have looked different had that game been over, but that is what we have as of now. Moving up 1 spot into 7 is Ball State. They're playing good ball right now. A lot of achievements being made. They're gritting out games. The Cardinals
at the right time.
Yep, the Cardinals look good. At 6, remaining the same is Indiana State. At 5, also remaining the same, is Notre Dame. Our last switch up is at the 3 and 4. So at 4, we've got Purdue Fort Wayne. They aren't playing their best ball right now, so they did move back 1 spot. And Butler, who has looked so much better now than they did a month ago. So they moved back up into 3. Then at 2 is Indiana. They're also looking better now than they did a month ago. So good signs there as of now. And then number 1 is Purdue. They had a tough week, which we will talk about here in a little bit. But their resume and team is just that much better than
they're kind of like the Auburn of our power rankings,
Yeah, you can take a loss and
they're just far away better than everyone else.
Exactly. So that is our week 15 power rankings. And now I want to get into it, Adam?
I do.
All right. So Ball State, alphabetical order, like we do every time, except for that one time.
Like I was going to say 71 times, but out of 72, but that's not true because we had a lot of off-season episodes. Probably, what are they?
Well, it's week 15 and there's like 18 weeks.
Yeah.
So
32 out of 33.
Out of 33, yeah. Something like that. But
roughly, give or take.
Yeah.
Plus our previews.
Yeah. They're ranked 255th in Torvik. That is down 3 spots from 252 last week. They did go 2-0 this week. They are 13 and 12 overall, and they are 6 and 6 in the MAC. So above 500. After this week, and above 500 overall, and then at 500 in the conference, which you love to see. They had a win over Eastern Michigan, 86-84 in overtime. And they won over Northern Illinois, 89-83 in overtime. And they are our Week 15 Hickory Team of the Week. The Cardinals, like we said, are playing incredible basketball right now. They got the 2 overtime wins at home. They've won their last 3. So things are great. In the Eastern Michigan game, Fat Hill had a monster dunk to seal the win in overtime. 4 players also were in double figures, in addition, or I guess including him. So 4 total players in double figures there. Against NIU, they had 5 players in double digits. So guys scoring the ball all across their roster. Coincidentally enough, so they had nine players across their 2 games, in double figures. Mickey Pearson, Jeremiah Hernandez, and Fat Hill were the 3 in double figures in both games. So, things are moving around. Some it's they figure out when it's one guy's game, we're gonna go to them, and then vice versa. So one thing to remember with them is that the top 8 teams in the MAC make the MAC tournament. Right. So right now they are sitting at 6th.
Yep.
They just picked up 2 big wins that bumped them up into 6th above a couple teams.
Above Eastern Michigan, Western Michigan are right below them at 5 and 7.
Yep.
So they're one game ahead of 8th place.
Yep. Which is having this momentum that they have right now.
Yeah.
Is I think going to be huge for them. I believe half of their remaining, so they got 6 remaining games. They play 3 against teams that are above them and 3 against teams that are below them. So on paper, you win those 3 games. You go 500.
Yeah.
And
you should be in.
You should be in, which is what we want to see out of the Cardinals.
And you don't have to play, or do they? You have to play Akron, which stinks. Akron's undefeated.
They play, yeah.
But they played them close last time, didn't they?
It was pretty close, yeah.
It was
I think an
8-point loss.
Yeah. So that's a good sign that they were able to play them close. And that was on the road, too, I believe. believe now they play them
at home.
At Worthing.
And they're 8-point underdogs in that game, so it'll be all right.
Yeah. Anything else from this?
No, I mean, just, they're 2 games away. They're 2 games ahead of 9th. So like that is pretty good. They're also 1 game. They're 1 game out of 4th place.
Yeah.
So, if you win more than you lose, like you're looking at potentially a top 4 seed in the MAC tournament. That I would say if they win 4, they're probably sitting 4-5 seed. They win 3, they're probably 6, 7, 8, wherever they are now. So you're definitely good. I think that's notable, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to bring that up because I think it's time to remind people that not everyone makes every tournament.
Yep. There are 2 conferences where
3.
There are 3.
There are 3 now.
There are 3 now. Wow. But yeah. Also, special shout out to Jerry. It is his birthday today on February 16th. He also hit 1,000 career points this week.
He did every week. It's somebody.
Every week it's somebody. He did it in the Eastern Michigan game, I believe, and was awarded his ball, decorative trophy ball thing. Before the Northern Illinois game.
And a lot of those points came as a Screagle.
A lot of those points did come as a Screagle.
Almost all of those points came as a bird.
Yeah.
He played a lot at as a Screagle last year. Scored a lot of points last year, and then obviously scoring a good number of points this year as a Cardinal. I have one interesting thing, and I am only going to mention this because it's an NIU player. In the Northern Illinois game, there was a player who reminded me of what we always say is when we tell coaches, we're like, I've got 4 years of eligibility and I've got 5 fouls to give.
True.
And
we do be saying that.
Jaden Mott for NIU had one of my favorite stat lines I've ever seen. 6 minutes played, 2 turnovers, 5 fouls. Just incredible. The only way it could have been better is if it was like 3 minutes played.
Right.
3 minutes played, 0 turnovers, 5 fouls. That would have been the only thing that could have been better than that. It was just like I was checking the box score because I always check the box score for every game, and I was like, hang on a second. What is this?
No points?
No points. Not even attempted a shot. Didn't attempt
that
a
makes
shot.
It all the better.
Yeah. So he had one mission, and I think he almost did that perfectly, they probably would have liked him not to turn the ball over twice.
Yeah.
So the only thing worse than 5 fouls is 5 fouls and 2 turnovers and turnovers.
Right. Yeah.
But, just had to point that out. Not to flame the guy. I don't know the guy, but he's not. People in his camp are probably not listening to this anyway, so it's probably all right.
Yeah, for sure. So moving on to Butler, they are Torvik ranked 74. That is up 1 from last week. They did go 1-0 this week. They are 12-13 overall and 5-9 in the Big East. Their win came over Georgetown 97-86.
2 words. Hot dogs.
Hot dogs.
Hot dogs.
Hot dogs.
Well, they're like on a real quiet 3-game win streak here. Their path to the tournament is win the Big East tournament, which, hey, if Georgetown can do it that one year with Patrick Ewing, Butler can do it.
I forgot that happened.
Yeah. And I picked them to win the first game. I was like, they have all the momentum, dude. They have all the momentum. Not like, I wasn't like, oh, it's going to be like, Kemba, where they just run through. I was like, no, they have all the momentum. They'll win one. Got demolished. got smoked.
It happens. Looking at this, it's looking at their schedule, right? From this past week. They played 1 game. I just sit back and think about it, how odd it is to me when teams only have 1 game in a week this late in the season. And I was like, I feel like we don't see this very often. But then I realized that I think for the next month, all of our teams,
everyone's fitting all their games in.
Well, no. All there are teams that only we've got a team, at least one team every week with only 1 game.
Purdue Fort Wayne only has 3 games left on the season.
Yeah.
On the regular season. Whereas, if you include today, Cleveland State had 5.
Right.
In this, in the same time frame.
Yeah,
it's wild.
It's always wild to think about because, you got
they have 6 games left, and Purdue Fort Wayne has 3.
Right.
Yeah,
it's
dude, and Ball State too is another one. Ball State has played 12 games. They have 6 games left. Thank God they don't do a 20 game league schedule. They'd be in trouble.
It's just so weird. I saw they played 1 game, and I always have to double check it because we don't always have the sheet fully updated by the time I get to it. And I was like, I double checked it on 3 different sites.
There's no way.
I went to Butler's site. I went to our overall schedule.
Did I miss?
I went to ESPN. I was like, what's happening here? Nope. Yeah, they only played 1 game.
Yeah. And we track it all on a spreadsheet ourselves. And sometimes there'll be games like the Max Sunbelt Challenge,
that don't get populated on that because we pulled that at the beginning of the season before,
before
some of those things are announced.
Obviously that was not,
MTEs typically aren't even on there either.
Yeah, and second games of an MTE aren't really on there.
Yeah.
But Pierre Brooks was great in this game. I mean, Pierre Brooks, 30 points, 10 of 13 shooting. He also scored his 1,000th career point. So just happening. I really like that for him because he came over from Michigan State, being not that great at Michigan State, and then just really, really thrived at Butler. And so shout out to him for scoring 1,000 points and being definitely player of the game.
Yeah, I mean, that game started, it was Brooks and Bizjack, I think, scored 28 of Butler's first 31.
Yeah,
and it was just
dominant.
I think Bizjack ended up with 13 of his 15 being in the first half. So he slowed down in the second half, but still, that's okay when you've got a hot start like that.
I would much rather. Butler's had slow starts so many times this season, so you would much rather have that. And they were down. They ended up going down in the first half, but went on a 19-4 run to go up 11, and they were up 11 at half, and they scored their season high 97. So that's what you want to see. Want to see a little bit better defense, obviously, but not going to complain about it. 11-point win.
Yeah, especially when that 11-point win comes on a special day, I guess. The Saturday served as Butler's annual Project 44 game, which helps raise awareness for the bone marrow registry in honor of the late Butler legend Andrew Smith. So really cool cause. Really cool to see them win.
Yeah, I agree. Before we talk about Evansville, it's going on now, the All-Star game, NBA All-Star game.
Yes.
Mr. Beast, like it like turned into something. Mr. Beast did something in game in the middle of the game, like it turned into something Mr. Beast challenge.
It did?
I saw a tweet from White Boy Rick that said, if I try and watch the NBA and it's Mr. Beast, I'm going to like start the Adam Silver like remove from office challenge or something. Like apparent, I don't know. I saw 2 tweets about it. I was like, why is it Beast Games?
It's so I know that they made a lot of changes to
because it does
All-Star
horribly.
Weekend.
It does horribly every year.
And like this year, I think there was like 4 teams.
There were the 2 regular East-West teams.
Yeah.
Not East-West anymore, but then there were the 2 Rising Stars teams.
Yeah, but and it's like a bracket almost where
the new guys play that like
it's like
the Rising Stars play the All-Stars.
And the inverse.
The winners.
And I wonder, and like Jerry Rice was a coach. Like random NFL and like I think mostly NFL players were the coaches. People who weren't even like NBA players, and maybe Mr. Beast was one of them. I don't know.
I want to
Did you see the skill challenge?
Yes, and Chris Paul and Wemby got disqualified.
Where they were just like,
because it just
they're just trying to go fast.
Because the rule they like apparently checked the rules is what I saw, and like the rules say you like until the 3 balls are off the rack or whatever, or until all 3 balls are used, to like take shots or whatever. But the rules say just when until you make a shot or all 3 balls are used off the rack, they just tossed them all off. And I was like, that seems in the rules. They got disqualified right after. I said, I think that seems fair.
That's some point guard.
Him and Wemby
thinking.
That's only Chris Paul and Wemby could think that up. That is like, you told me all the teams, and you're like, guess who did this? That's my first guess every single time.
The best part is like before the All-Star game today in the locker room, Wemby had a book, and Jokic was sitting there, like minding his own business. He goes, a book in the locker room? Wemby was like, I read before all the games. And Jokic just started dying. And someone memed it, was just like, Jokic is ready to put Wemby in a locker right now.
Yeah, dude. It's so
like,
funny.
He's like, you read?
In French, nonetheless.
Dude, probably.
His books are in French. That every single time I've seen him with a book, it's always in French.
Huh.
Which makes sense. I mean, it's his first language.
Yeah.
But
back to our regularly scheduled programming. Evansville.
Yeah. They went 0-1 this week. They are currently playing. So we'll just not include that game obviously in their final score because it's not final. They're 9-17 overall, and they're 6-9 in the Missouri Valley. That could be 6-10 or 7-9, depending on how this game goes. Their game that's already been decided this week was a loss at Missouri State, 71-54. And then right now, come on, Scorebug. They are up 54-51 with 11:18 left against Valpo. If I had taken one more second on describing that, I would have been fine. But
what's funny is like I was watching it and I knew the score before the Scorebug went away, and I was like, I was gonna tell you. I was like, no, I'm gonna make him suffer.
It was so close. I'm just glad it wasn't longer. I was like looking up, when's it gonna come up? And then I saw the like ESPN bar, and I was like, okay, we're good. So they are still up 54-51 at home against Valpo, wearing the sickest jerseys.
Yeah.
Maybe the sickest jerseys worn in the state this year. Butler's IMS jerseys are pretty dang sweet.
I don't know, man. Those ones Indiana wore,
they weren't that bad.
They were awful.
They weren't that bad.
The
A&M ones, awful.
Yeah.
These ones, not as bad.
But we're talking about Evansville right now. And unfortunately, my biggest takeaway from them, they're playing pretty bad. Like, not in this active game, right? But like over the last few weeks, they have not been playing great. Their defense isn't terrible. They've got a good defense. I love the defense that they play. But they gotta be able to score more than 30 points and a half.
Oh, let's go. Sorry. I just happened to look up at the game. Now they're up 56-51. Yeah, I agree with you. And, their defense has always been their calling card this year. and you saw things get a little bit dicey when Pizzato went out.
Mm-hmm.
Who's out? Hafner. Hafner's been out. But like losing to Missouri State is unacceptable. I think that's Missouri State's second MVC win.
Yeah, I think so.
You're just glad you're not the first one, but I thought that Missouri State already having like an MVC win would like help them not lose, but apparently that wasn't the case. You know when their last win was? Who their last win was against? Evansville. Their last win.
No.
At Valpo. They won at Valpo, then they
Okay.
after winning at Valpo, after winning at Valpo, then they won at home to Murray State, and then they won at Belmont. So they went on a 3-game win streak. And then they lost 3 in a row. They were at home to Southern Illinois, they lost at home to Bradley, and then they went to Missouri State and lost. So like 3 wins, just up and down, just like their halves, up half, down half.
Yeah,
3 games win, 3 games loss. They need to win today. This is the Evansville section, so I'm going to say they need to win today. They need to win. Valpo can also need to win, but they got to win today if they want to be, doing something, because they should be better than 6-9.
Yep, for sure. Let's move on to Indiana. They are up 7 spots in Torvik. They're 61, up from 68. They did go 1-1 this week. They are 15-11 overall and 6-9. Nice in the Big Ten. I mean, not nice, but like for the memes, nice. They won over Michigan State 71-67 on Wednesday. No, that was Friday.
Yeah.
No,
Friday.
UCLA was Friday.
UCLA was Friday. It was Monday
and Tuesday. I don't know.
Hang on. Yeah.
Then they lost to UCLA on Friday, 72-68. Michigan State win. Did it for the general.
Yeah, it was Tuesday at Michigan State because no one played Monday or Sunday.
That's right. Yeah, that Michigan State win. They did it for the general. Bob Knight. We talked about it last week. When Tom Izzo got his next win, he would be in sole possession of most Big Ten conference wins all time. He was tied with Bob Knight. The next game either of them played, well, I guess the next game Michigan State played was Indiana. We talked about that last week. And Indiana won, which meant it took one more game for Izzo to move past Bob Knight. And then he ended up doing it Saturday, which we will talk about later, I'm sure.
And the way they won is the funniest way. Like, the funniest way to stop someone from passing Bob Knight against his former team, and you do it with playing like 30 minutes of zone. It was incredible because Michigan State can't shoot. IU can't shoot. If I was playing either of those teams, I'd just be running zone.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, great call. I like the zone. Surprisingly,
I think every time they've pulled it out, it's worked wonders. They did it against UCLA for a bit.
Yeah,
and
it's not the best zone, but it's passable.
Yeah,
and they're athletic enough to like make it work.
Yeah, it's fun to see just whenever they switch because it's just like, what is going on? Then you see Anthony Lealguard 1-5 because of it. And it's like, well, if he's the guy that's going to do it, he's the guy I'm going to pick. I think it's funny you tweeted it though too. Is what did you say?
What did I say?
Is Bob Knight? It was like, is Bob Knight happy that they
won?
Stopped? They stopped Izzo, or is he mad that they ran his zone? That was pretty good.
I saw a tweet that was Bob Knight's not rolling over at the zone because he's already buried face down.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah. Great win though.
Do you think he's actually buried face down? I was thinking about that the other day. I was like,
no.
Did they actually put him?
Do you think
face
they
down?
did like open casket and then like
flipped him over?
If it's in his burial rites.
Or did they just do open casket with him already flipped over?
Flipped over and the top wasn't open. It was the leg portion of the casket. Oh my god. The
then
joke's on us. He's ashes. He's screaming. Could be.
In the UCLA game, my notes say sigh. I thought they played pretty well.
Mhm.
They just can't close out games well. I mean, overall, I think Indiana's playing really consistent basketball right now.
They're playing well enough to win.
Yeah.
They're just not winning.
Yeah, they just have to figure out how to consistently close out games. They did it well against Michigan State. They did it not so well against UCLA by missing an pretty uncontested bunny at the rim. And then
it seemed like he thought he was gonna get hit. Seemed like he was expecting contact.
There was like a hesitation there.
And then, he didn't get the contact. So like that throws off your shot.
Yeah.
For sure. When you're expecting it. If you get hit, he hit it. He threw it too hard. He was expecting to get hit. Yeah. Going up strong.
And then he missed an open 3-pointer at the end that would have ended up winning it. So the layup would have tied it. And I believe the 3 would have won it.
Yeah, all but won it. There would have been a little bit of time left,
right?
For them to do something, but yeah. So this is the other team that has to worry about missing the conference tournament. I don't think they're in that conversation. I think they're closer to the NCAA tournament than they are to missing the Big Ten tournament, but it is still possible. I don't know where they sit in the Big Ten. If you could pull that up for me real quick, just what place they're in, because the top 15 make it. I had looked into what their tournament chances were before this game, and I had them winning this game because it seemed winnable, and it obviously was because they almost did it. But if they can win every single game except for lose at Oregon, that'll be a tough road one. Obviously, they have to go to Washington while they're out there, but Washington's not very good. So if they can beat Washington, if they can win 4 of their next 5 games, that's what they have, right? 5? Yeah. They obviously have to beat Purdue. That's going to be a big win. But Torvik has a thing where you can put in results and it will tell you what your odds are based on everyone's resume right now of making the tournament using the algorithm. If they only lose at Oregon, he has them as the second team of the last 4 in. So the 66th team in the tournament.
Okay.
Which, this is without any Big Ten tournament games. So if they go 4-1 and then they win 2 games, I think that puts them in a pretty good spot to make the tournament. Probably good enough to be just miss the first 4. But if they just win, if they go 4-1 with a loss at Oregon, he has them at a 55% chance of making the tournament. So it's close. I think if you go 4-1, or whether that loss is at Oregon or at home to Purdue, and then you win 1 game, you're probably in. If you win 2 games, I think you make the tournament, the Big Ten tournament. If you win 2 in the Big Ten tournament.
Okay.
So I thought things were pretty far, but they're still firmly on the bubble. The bubble's very weak.
Yeah.
Obviously, they want to win more. They want to win more than just 4 more games because the bubble's gonna probably there will be bid stealers and they will steal their bid real quick.
They're currently at 12th in the Big Ten.
Okay,
so
they're close.
Top 15 or the top 14 make it?
15.
Okay,
so they're close to missing it too. So they've got to at least go 4-1. You want to talk about the trees?
Yes.
So Indiana State, they went down just a little bit from 220 to 222 in Torvik. They went 1-1 this week. They're just below 500 in overall and in conference at 13-14 in the overall, and then 7-9 in the Missouri Valley. They lost at Northern Iowa 88-73, and then they won at home over Illinois State 85-76, proving that they are the true ISU. Just don't bring Iowa State into this, and we'll be fine because I think they win that one. But UNI shot 62% from 3, 13 of 21, and ISU is 9 of 25. That's a lot of that's a lot of threes, man. And I don't know what their regular 3-point percentage is, but I'll tell you it's not 62.
Yeah.
So they shot well above their average.
Yeah, and Indiana State, they shot pretty on par in terms of their makes.
Yeah.
They've made 8+ threes in 6 of the last 7 games. So that's pretty standard. I'm gonna turn off multi-view up there because you're.
No, I'm listening to you. Dude, I'm gotta, both of these games matter.
Yeah. But we're talking about Indiana State, not in any of those 3 teams playing.
That's fair. And we're definitely not talking about Louisville.
Yeah, exactly. And then the thing is, though, Indiana State did shoot 39.3% from the field, which is the lowest they've shot the last 5 games. So definitely hate to see that. But then they turned it around against Illinois State.
Mm-hmm. Battle of the ISUs.
Yes.
Thiel had a career high 36, went 6 of 9 from 3. So this is like the most. Okay, this is interesting because it seemed like the person who was reporting the stat didn't have all the information on hand and was like, "This is what we know as of right now, and we'll get back to you later." 36 points is the most in Indiana State history. Hang on. Is the most dating back since the 16-17 season, at least. But they think it's 36 is the most scored since 2006 when Marco Stinson did it against Drake and had 37. Yep. So it was like, yeah, it's the most at least since 2016-17, but like unofficial records that we have like say it was probably through then. We just can't verify it for sure.
And one thing I didn't realize, so I guess not that I didn't realize, but it was cool to see. In the last 10 seasons, there have been 17 players in the Missouri Valley Conference who have scored 36 plus points, and Thiel is now the 18th. So he's in storied company, not only at Indiana State, but in the entire Valley.
It's like a little bit surprising that no one did it last year, but they just had so many weapons that like people would go for 30. But like more often it was like you 3 go for 20.
Right. Yeah. They did shoot much better from 3. They were 11 of 23. So that was about 46% from downtown, which is the best they've shot all season.
Mm-hmm. And then shout out also to Derek Force, career high, 11 points, came off the bench. Got injured earlier on in the season. Then he's been kind of slow to come back in. And get more minutes. So most minutes I think of the season and a career high. So shout out to him for that.
Yep. Let's go on to IU-Indy. They moved down in Torvik. They are 321 from 318. They were 0-1 this week. They're 8-9 overall, 4-12 in the Horizon League. They lost to Oakland 82-67.
So this is interesting because Tom Izzo and Greg Campy are best friends, and they play each other before Christmas, and Michigan State and Oakland will play each other, and that's when they do the ugly sweaters.
Yep.
Greg Campy, not this, so 2 times something notable was up for the grabs. I guess it wasn't up for the grabs against IU-Indy, but like very close to happening. So the next game after IU played Michigan State, Tom Izzo then passed Bob Knight in all-time Big Ten wins.
Yep.
Greg Campy, the game after playing IU-Indy, is now tied for the most wins in the Horizon League.
Huh.
So same week, almost the same milestone. It's like 1 game off.
Yeah.
But like very interesting, like coincidence.
You love to see that.
Yeah.
One thing about this game for IU-Indy, it was like one of their worst defensive performances of the season. I think only twice they play worse, which is not great when you look at the other side because it was Oakland's best offensive performance of the season, like by a long shot too. So just like, IU-Indy's playing bad defense. Well, Oakland's going to play great offense.
Yeah.
So it was just, hitting both sides of the dagger there.
Yeah. Some notable things, but notable thing positively is Jarvis Walker had his best of the year, 26 points. But I mean, just a little bit down, like Oakland, like you said, shot super well, 20% better from the field, 10% better from 3. And then IU-Indy just like has been in a free throw shooting slump. And Like they're one of the best 40 teams in the country at free throw percentage, and they shot 61% in this game, which is obviously not ideal. And so a little unlike them, but we saw they're not the only team that did some things unlike themselves this week. But we'll get to the other one later.
Yep. Going on to Notre Dame, they are 89th in Torvik, down from 86th. They went 1-0 this week thus far. They're 11-13 overall, 5-8 in the ACC. Their win was at Boston College, 97-94 in double overtime.
Yes.
And they are currently, I believe, down against Louisville. It is a commercial break.
I think it was that last score I saw was 55-44, but I don't know what it is now.
Yeah. So we will report that score while we are talking about the BC game. First time since 2019 that Notre Dame has swept Boston College in a season. Which is crazy to think about because Boston College is not great.
Not good and hasn't been good.
Like Notre Dame hasn't been great lately.
Notre Dame the last 2 years has been pretty bad, so that would be yeah, but that's crazy. I mean, they would count it as a sweep if you just go 1-0, right?
I think. I would imagine. That is still a sweep.
Yeah, right. You know, unless there's some unknown thing that I didn't know that sweep has to be at least 2 games.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. It also marked the largest comeback in the Shrewsbury era for the Fighting Irish.
Yeah, Notre Dame.
It was 14 points. So Shrews haters can STFU. That is actually written in the notes.
It is. Another notable milestone is Marcus Burton, another career high this week. He's at our 3rd or 4th. 32 points. Yeah. Brooks, him, Heel. There another one? I think that might be it, but if I don't,
I think we haven't talked about any others.
Yeah. So another person. They're down 64-46.
Yeah.
Currently,
I was gonna say that when you were done talking,
which is crazy that it was 55-44. So we'll not. Anyway.
We won't dwell on that.
Okay. Reffing this year has been driving me insane.
Okay, tell me about it.
Did you see this? Okay, so like a big trend this year has been people getting hit in the nuts, and if someone gets hit in the nuts, they're just like automatically F2, get out of here. Like that's a flagrant 2, just you're gone from the game. And Roper was like diving for a loose ball, and he just like his knee inadvertently hit a dude in the nuts, and they ejected him. I've seen some stupid ejections this year. That was the stupidest.
Well, yeah, it happened twice, 2 other times this week.
Yeah,
actually,
it's insane.
Or maybe only it for sure happened 1 other time this week.
Like wasn't the remember Texas Tech's best player was throwing a pass across the court, and his leg, because he was turning midair, his leg hit a dude in the nuts in the first minute.
Yeah.
And they ejected him, and then their coach got ejected because he was so mad, as he should be.
Yeah.
But like, dude, it's crazy that just like Brad Davison did not hit people in the nuts for this to happen. He did not have nothing happen to
Xavier
him.
Johnson. Well, he did get a flagrant.
He got a flagrant too for that.
But yeah, no, I get your point.
Brad Davison was sneaking nut punches so that people can accidentally hit people in the nuts and get ejected or something.
There's
something
that's the storyline.
I hate it. It's just a ludicrous call.
Yep. Want to move on to Purdue Fort Wayne?
Yeah.
Okay, they moved down in Torvik. They're 155 from 146. They went 0-2 this week. They are still 18-10 overall and 11-6 in the Horizon League, but they took losses at Youngstown State 93-71 and then at Robert Morris 76-69.
Yeah, the Youngstown State loss stinks because it's like such a large loss, but Youngstown State think today, just beat Cleveland State.
Yeah,
So like kind of helps them. I mean, obviously they would have liked to have beaten Youngstown State.
So Robert Morris and Youngstown State are the two teams directly above, or two of the three teams I think directly above Purdue Fort Wayne.
Because it's Robert Morris and Youngstown State, I think might be tied, and then above them is Cleveland State. I will pull that up real quick.
I think there's a 1 game of separation between Robert Morris and Youngstown, but I think those two teams sneakily coming for the throne in the Horizon League because both teams beat Purdue Fort Wayne this week. Both teams also beat Cleveland State this week.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Robert Morris played Purdue Fort Wayne and won. And then, played Cleveland State and won, and then beat Purdue Fort Wayne. And then Youngstown State did the inverse, beating Purdue Fort Wayne and then beating Cleveland State.
Cleveland State is 12-4. Robert Morris and Youngstown State are 12-5, and then Milwaukee is technically half a game above Fort Wayne at 11-5.
That's what I thought I thought Milwaukee was in there. When I started talking, I looked at when I was looking at it,
which
earlier.
Is crazy because last week it looks like it was. Cleveland State was just going to run away with it.
Yeah.
And, that Purdue Fort, the thing that really stinks is if Purdue Fort Wayne had been playing how they had been the rest of this season, they'd be 13-4. And that would put them in first.
Yeah.
They could have been in first. They could have been in first if they didn't lose to Detroit Mercy and Northern Kentucky, which they shouldn't have,
Yeah. The thing that sucks is Purdue Fort Wayne's got 3 games left, right? We established that earlier. I guess it doesn't suck. It depends on how you look at it. I'm going to spin zone it as its bulletin board material. Of those 3, they've lost all 3 of those teams that they have yet still to play. So knowing what I know about their team it's absolutely bulletin board material because, okay, we're racing to try and finish as high as possible. I think first place is out of the question at this point.
It's not.
It's not? Okay.
Because Cleveland
State would have to lose out, pretty much.
No, because Cleveland State has 4 games left. Purdue Fort Wayne has 3. So if Purdue Fort Wayne goes 14, so if Cleveland State goes 2-2, and Robert Morris Youngstown State don't go 3-1, see what I'm saying? Or 2-1.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they go, they'd have to go 2-1. If Cleveland State wins 3 games, then first place is out of the question.
Got it.
So if Cleveland State goes 2-2, then Purdue Fort Wayne, if they go 3-0, can tie for first.
Okay. So that's they just have to win these next 3 games, right? Which again, the teams they've already lost against, which means they'll have even more of a chip on their shoulder than they already do, knowing that the conference standings are lingering over them as well. So I'm optimistic for what they've got the rest of the season.
And here's the crazy thing. Okay. So the great thing is they play Oakland at home, which if they beat them, then Greg Campy doesn't become the winningest coach by himself. And then they played Northern Kentucky, the revenge game that they lost on the wedgie.
Yep.
I guess went to overtime in the wedgie or whatever it was. And then if that would put them at 2-0, if Cleveland State has already lost 1 more game, their last game is Cleveland State.
Yep.
So then if they win that game, they tie. And if they don't, then Cleveland State will probably win outright, depending on what the other 2 teams do, obviously.
Yeah.
But that would be crazy because it will be at Cleveland State.
The chips are just stacking in the favor of Purdue Fort Wayne to do make some crazy shakeups.
Yeah. So that's what that's funny that we didn't talk about any of the stuff that we were going to talk about before. We never do what our notes are going to be on. But that's funny that we were both
because your notes are right next to mine.
Yeah.
I don't read that.
Yeah, I don't look at your notes.
I don't read your notes. You're going to talk about them.
Yeah. So it's funny that we both went that route this week.
Yeah. I want to move on to Purdue.
Yep.
They, for the 4th week in a row, are still at 9th in Torvik. They lost both games, going 0-2. They're still 19-7 overall, 11-4 in the Big Ten. I believe that puts them in 3rd place right now. They lost at Michigan, 75-73. They lost to Wisconsin, 94-84. This was another game where there was a nut shot F2.
Yeah, dude, ridiculous.
Wow. Kamari McGee was fighting through a screen. He's a full foot shorter than TKR, and
he was
accidentally
like way down low.
Yeah, accidentally hit him in the nuts. Watched it on replay several times. Again, not malicious.
Yeah.
It's just the rule. Ant Wright hates it, by the way.
It's stupid. And originally they called a foul on TKR, right?
I wasn't watching the game. I don't remember.
I think they called it on TKR, and people were like, what? He was literally just setting a screen, and then they reviewed it, and they're like, you're out of here. What?
Yeah.
And I didn't mention this. I want to mention this before we talk about Purdue, because I forgot to mention, Purdue Fort Wayne lost 2 games last week. This is the first time all season that they've lost 2 in a row. They haven't lost 2 in a row at all.
Oh.
Last season, not once. So all their, 8 other losses were not in succession, which is almost the case with Purdue, because Purdue technically lost 2 in a row, but not 2 in 1 week. They lost their game against A&M, and then they lost their game the following Saturday against Auburn. But that wasn't the same week, obviously. So they didn't get. So this is the second time they've lost 2-0, but the first time that they've lost 2 games in 1 week all season. Crazy. It's crazy that it happened to
both schools.
Purdue's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was also a wild Fletcher Lawyer.
That was crazy.
Yeah, he got.
He got thrown over, as he does quite frequently.
Yeah. And they didn't call a foul on it at all, right?
No, they just play on.
Okay.
And the dude extended his arm for sure, but that ref must be on to Fletcher.
Yeah, what's wild is they didn't call the flop. They haven't in several years.
Yeah.
The flopping foul.
Yeah, which I'm fine with. Just let it. Yeah. You know what? I think the punishment for a flop is you're out of the play. You're going to the ground. You're just out of the play. That's the punishment enough.
But Foster Lawyer, Fletcher Lawyer's brother, tweeted the video, slowed down, and he just goes, he was like, both feet aren't planted.
Yeah.
Blocking foul.
Blocking foul.
Which was hilarious. Not backing up his brother. And then Twitter in the replies of that tweet were calling Fletcher Flopper Lawyer.
That's funny.
I thought that was pretty good. But someone was like, guess Wisconsin's weight program is just that much better than Purdue's.
I guess, dude.
It's just that's just the Fletcher Lawyer is notorious for.
Yeah. And it doesn't help that he is very, very light.
Yeah.
But that Michigan game, they should have won. They definitely should have won. Trey Coffin-Wren fouled out on I don't even know I can't even remember what it was. He was going up and someone hit him on the back and they called a 5th foul on him. It was ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It's crazy that so many crazy things happened regarding him that he did not do anything. It was he literally set a screen, F2 on the other guy. He got hit in the back, foul on him.
Yeah.
It made no sense. So they should have had that game, but unfortunately that almost takes them out of Big Ten. There's 5 games left. Michigan has a 1.5 game lead on them because they're 12-2. Purdue is 11-4. So I don't know. I think that might take them out. We'll see, because they need to win against Indiana first, but it's not done yet. But it's going to be hard because Michigan did get that win today, and Purdue just took 2 losses. Who's next?
You tell me.
Southern Indiana. So Southern Indiana went down from 328 to 337 in Torvik. They went 0-2 this week. That puts them at 9-17 overall and 4-12 in the Ohio Valley. Their losses came at Western Illinois, 87-62, and then at Lindenwood, 81-78 in overtime. So we've been updating you on everyone's conference standing, pretty much everyone's conference standings. That's potentially relevant. This one's relevant because they are firmly on the wrong side. This is another one where
top 8 teams
make the tournament. Everyone else doesn't. There's 11 teams, so bottom 3 don't. They have now lost 6 in a row, which is notable, and they're 4 games back from 8th place. So if they have one more loss,
they have to win out.
Yeah, they have to win out, and
UT Martin has to lose out.
Yeah, pretty much. Like if UT Martin wins one more game, they are they can't make the tournament.
Yeah,
it really stinks.
It does. The Western Illinois game, the Screagles usually have a really good defense, right? That defense didn't get off the bus. It was pretty okay against Lindenwood, so it's not like it didn't stay in Evansville, didn't stay at Liberty Arena. It just stayed on the bus in Western Illinois, which is
pretty much
unfortunate because getting blown out like that is not a fun bus ride. The Lindenwood game, I think the whole game shifted with 4 minutes left. They went on a Lindenwood went on a 24-4 run to close out, to get to the 4-minute mark and go up 1. And then the rest of the game was just back and forth till overtime. And overtime happened, and they lost.
Yeah, and Olawani fouled out, which really hurt. There was they just missed a couple of shots down the stretch, and then Campion had a chance to, I think, win it because they were down 1. He had a chance to win it. He was a little bit off center, off on the elbow, pulled up as he does, and I thought it was going in, just didn't go in. Then they fouled, and that was the end.
Yep.
So it just stinks because we're only gonna have 4 more Screagles games this season that we're gonna talk about.
Not necessarily. Still a chance.
Probably, yeah. There is still a chance. You're right.
Yep. Moving on to Valpo. They are 247 in Torvik. That is up from 259. They went 1-1 this week officially. They're 11-16 overall, 4-12 in the Valley. They won over Belmont 101-86. They lost at Evansville 79-69. So,
might need to update our power rankings.
Nope. Power rankings are got some breaking news. Your mom's just called you out. You've been saying that I broke your ankle, but he told his family that he was coming down from his second dunk of the round of 21 and landed on my foot. So
I still landed on your foot, but it was still, I was dunking on you. There's video evidence
of you not dunking. So you lied to my family by saying I broke your foot. You lied to your family saying you dunked.
Hey, I didn't.
Have you told anything that's truthful?
You know what? I'll see you in small claims court. You better lawyer down. Better lawyer down.
I know some pretty good lawyers. I'll give them a call.
There's no lawyers in small claims court. That's why you got to lawyer down. The Workaholics reference. So in the Belmont game, we're not gonna have any notes from the Evansville game. Jaren already got mad at me for watching it on the side. The interesting thing here is they went 25 of 26 from the free throw line, and then 10 of 18 from 3. Where is it? I had a thing. Oh, Valpo's the 6th team this year to shoot better than 96% from the free throw line
in the Valley, or like
in the country.
In the country.
In the country.
Okay.
Crazy. Going 25 of 26 is nuts.
This was a game where all the fans, I'm sure of a certain age, got free pom-poms and foam fingers. I'm sure those really came in handy.
What do you mean of a certain age?
Well, I imagine that like under the age of like 12 is probably like under the... If I'm walking into that game, are they giving me a free foam finger?
They better.
I don't know.
I mean, they'd probably give you a pom-pom. I'd be the foam finger guy.
Yeah, I feel like giveaways like this are usually like based on for younger kids. I don't know. I've been to enough Cubs games where you only get things if you're a certain age.
I'm pretty youthful, man. I'm like not even, I'm pretty youthful. I'm younger than you, so like I maybe they'd look at me and they'd be like foam finger. They'd look at you and be like coffin salesman.
This man is literally 2 months younger than me. That's
Whoa.
it.
2.5. If we're counting. Which I am.
The 101 points they scored was Valpo's highest point total in the Valley ever.
Their Valley history. Yeah.
Since joining the league. That beat their previous highest scoring record of 98, which happened against Indiana State a few weeks ago.
But that was in overtime. They did it in 5 fewer minutes this time.
True. It was also their first time scoring 100 or more points against a Division I opponent in regulation since the 103 that they scored December 21st, 2010. Here's a free throw for you, Adam. You know what game was against?
I actually do, because I almost put that in my notes. And it's a team that we've talked about multiple times tonight. It's Oakland.
Yeah, I knew we would have talked about them multiple times, so that's why I put it. And that was obviously, was Valpo were they in the Horizon League?
Dude, I don't know.
Again, I don't know.
My Valpo knowledge starts is like, hey, I liked watching,
I just don't know what conference they were in before the Valley. Because Oakland also could have changed conferences, but
probably was then the Horizon League.
Also, in the last 20 years, only Cooper Schwieger and
they did 10 seasons in the Horizon League and then moved in 2017.
Okay. So the last 20 years, only Cooper Schwieger and 3 other Valpo players have had a 27-point, 13-board game. Freeman Liberty did it. Peters did it 4 times. And then recent Valpo Athletics Hall of Fame inductee Dan Opland had 26 and 16 in 2005. So he's in pretty good company.
Yeah, no kidding.
I specifically left in the part about the Valpo Athletics Hall of Fame because I think that Schwieger
that's what
is trending that way.
That's what Powell said, right?
Yep.
That he if he stays 4 years, he thinks he has, he thinks he will have the career to be in their Hall of Fame.
Yep. Most notable though, so 27 point, 13 boards, 4 players have done it. Only 1 player has had 27 points, 13 boards, and 3 blocks. That 1 player is Cooper Schwieger.
Let's go.
So shout out to him for helping rewrite the history books up there in Valparaiso.
Yeah, aside from their loss tonight, it was a really good week.
Yeah. Yep. Anything else?
Nope, that's all I got on Valpo.
All right. So then, Adam, who is our Week 15 Jimmy Chitwood Player of the Week?
This week we had a lot of people score 1,000 points. Well, score their 1,000th point. This week we had a lot of people score their 1,000th point, and this week we had a lot of people set career highs. But one person who did it, in a big win, is Pierre Brooks II from Butler. He had a career high against Georgetown on Saturday. It was 30-point career high and 50% from 3, and he was super efficient. He missed 1 shot from the 2-point range all game, so he was 10 of 13 from the field, perfect from the free throw line, 8 of 8. And, he and Bizjack together got the team off to a great start and helped carry the Bulldogs to a win. So he felt like Jimmy Chitwood to me. And and it happened in Hinkle. So it's like double Jimmy Chitwood.
Yeah. I texted you earlier about a couple people that I thought could potentially be it. And then there's also 3 other players that you could have thrown in.
This one could have been
Marcus Burton.
Yeah.
Pierre Brooks, Bat Hill, or I said Jeremiah Hernandez because he played so well and it was his birthday. So the birthday tie
could have been somebody in this, could have been somebody for Evansville this week too. It absolutely could have been.
So a lot of, which is good. That's always, to me, it makes me feel good when there are several people that could be Jimmy Chitwood because it means everyone's playing well. Whereas there's some weeks where it's just like, who do we pick? Who was the best? It's fun to have that debate of
it's nice to have options.
Yeah,
definitely nice to have options. Let's look forward to next week. Let's look into next week. We have 2 in-state matchups coming up. So we've got one on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Evansville is going, so there's another in-state matchup for them. They're going to play at Indiana State. They are 6.5-point underdogs there. So we've got the return game from when Evansville went to the Holman Center, right?
Yes.
I don't remember who won that first one.
I don't remember either.
I think Indiana State won is what my gut says. But then we've got another in-state matchup on Sunday, 1:30 p.m. Indiana is hosting Purdue, and Purdue is 5-point favorites there. So both teams really need this game. Indiana needs this game to strengthen their resume and help them get in the NCAA tournament.
Yep.
Purdue needs this game to try and three-peat the Big Ten.
Yeah. Wild to think about it. Indiana only has one game this week, and it's the Purdue game.
Mm-hmm.
And Purdue has to play Michigan State and then Indiana.
I know, which could be a blessing and a curse that Indiana has a week off both times they play Purdue.
Yeah.
More than a week off. They've got 9 days off. This is Friday to Sunday.
Yeah. So it will be interesting to see what Indiana's able to use that week for, especially knowing that Purdue has a lot more, I think, riding on from a recency standpoint than the Hoosiers.
Yep.
So another game that I've got circled is Ball State at Toledo. Toledo's 7-point favorites. But again, Ball State's playing really good basketball right now. Toledo is one of those teams that is above them in the conference standings. So picking up a win there is only going to help them add their security into the MAC tournament. And then
IU Indy at Detroit Mercy interests me because I think if they win this game, then they will pass their most Horizon League wins in a season in like the last 5 years or something.
Okay.
So that's a notable win. They can really set the tone that like Casaro era is here and that they're moving forward and make. They've already made progress because they won more games than last year.
Yep.
But that'll really help too.
Yeah, for sure.
And then PFW playing at home versus Oakland. We talked about that one a little bit. They're 5.5-point favorites. They need to win that game. Campy can become the all-time winningest coach later on in their next game, but PFW needs this one. They need to go 3-0 to have a chance.
Yep.
They need to win this one to have a chance to be 2-0 going into that Cleveland State game.
Yep. Let's look at the other 49, and we have it in our title, but the top 16 tournament seeds tentatively, right? If the tournament would start tomorrow, these would be the top 16 seeds. Those were revealed. Who were they?
So they did this. I mean, we can just go by region and then we can kind of talk about it. So the South region is where the overall number one seed, and if you pay attention to more than Indiana basketball, you know that it was a no-brainer. This came out before Saturday's games, which didn't impact this really, but it's just something just to keep your, to remember. But the number one overall seed obviously is Auburn. They have, as of beating Alabama, they have 14 quad one wins, which I think the next highest is 8. So their resume is significantly better than anyone else. And they said on the broadcast that normally there's like some debate on who the overall number one seed should be, and that it was unanimous and there was like no discussion that it was going to be Auburn, which I think makes sense. The 2 seed in that region is Texas A&M. The 3 seed is Wisconsin, and the 4 seed in there is Texas Tech. So like that is a really scary region. Like if you get placed in that region, that one might be the most scary to me.
And then the Midwest, the number 2 overall seed, Alabama. They are the number 1 seed in that region, which I think makes a lot of sense. That probably might have changed a little bit after the game that they had this weekend against Auburn, but again, pretty standard there. It makes sense. The number 2 seed in that region is Purdue. Number 3 seed is Iowa State. And the 4 seed is Kansas.
Yeah, I mean, if this one's less scary to me, I think Iowa State and Purdue side is scarier. than the Kansas-Alabama, because Alabama, if they're not making shots, is, susceptible to losing. And then Kansas has been very weird all year. So I think that the Midwest is definitely weaker than the South. But Purdue is the 2 seed in that region. They were the 7th overall, and Wisconsin was the 11th overall. I think Wisconsin beating Purdue probably changes. I don't know if it drops Purdue off the 2 line, but I think it, might move them down to 9th, because Wisconsin won at Purdue.
Yeah.
It's not a bad loss, but it's a good loss for Purdue. So it might not drop them, because one single game isn't going to do that. But it might drop them to 8th. Still a 2 seed. But notable nonetheless. And then the West region was Florida was the 4th number 1 seed overall.
I thought you were gonna go and keep going.
I was going to, but I like looking at my bracket like this.
Yeah,
so.
I get it.
2 is Houston, and then the 3 in there is Kentucky, and the 4 is Michigan. So this is obviously after Michigan beat Purdue. But they said on the broadcast that the 5 teams that were up for the number 1 seed in discussion were Auburn, Alabama, Florida, Duke, and then Tennessee, and they felt that Florida having that win at Auburn is one of the things that pushed them above
Tennessee.
And then I think Tennessee and Florida split on the season, and so that was one of the reasons why they were a number 1 seed, and Tennessee was not.
In the East region, the 3rd number 1 overall seed is Duke. The 2 is Tennessee, kind of like we talked about. They're that first 2 seed. Could have been debated as a 1 seed. 3 is Arizona, and what scares me the most is 4 being St. John's.
Yeah.
And it scares me to be any other team in that region going against St. John right now. Rick Pitino knows, he's just like, they probably should be a 2 seed. I'm gonna my opinion.
Yeah. I mean,
they lost some games that they shouldn't.
Unfortunately, loss.
Yeah, but it's still being on the 4 at the 4 line is scary to be any team that has to come across them in that region, because they're gonna be playing with fire, because they're gonna feel disrespected, and that's just perfect Rick Pitino storyline.
Yeah. It was really funny during the broadcast, because the dude who's the chairman of the committee was the guy who was on there doing the reveal with, Adam Zucker and everybody, and Jay Wright and everyone. And when he was revealing them, he was like, a number 1 seed overall, and this is South is Auburn. And when it got to the number 3, the East region, he just looked at it and he just handed it to Adam Zucker, and he's like, I can't say it. And Adam Zucker was like, it's a 4-letter school, it's Duke. And so he was like, I appreciated that he had some jokes with it, because normally they just, completely separate it, and I like that he had some fun with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Notable though is Purdue has played Auburn. They have played Texas A&M. They played Marquette, but Marquette's not on here.
Didn't they play Bama?
They played Bama.
Obviously, they've played Wisconsin.
And they played Wisconsin and Michigan. So they played so many of these teams already.
Yeah.
Which is, they didn't win most of them, but they're that's notable. It's going to help them when they get to the tournament.
Yep.
What other games do you want to talk about? Or what games do you want to talk about, I guess?
Not really a game per se, but I guess Tuesday, classic Dan Hurley, UConn went to Creighton. Creighton fans were yapping at Hurley. Hurley decided to flex his 2 rings after UConn beat Creighton. Then we flash forward to Saturday. Seton Hall beat UConn by 1 in overtime, and it ended Seton Hall's 9-game losing streak. So it's just funny, the world coming full circle is Dan flexing those rings and then losing to the worst team by far in the conference. So I thought that's a little bit of karmic intervention there. And then on Wednesday, I had to sign up for Duolingo so that I could read anything on my timeline on X, the Everything app, because everything was in Russian.
That was such a weird thing.
There was like 2-day span there from like Wednesday to Thursday. All of Creighton basketball Twitter was in Russian. Why was I getting pumped to my feed? I don't know, but I was here for it. I follow a lot of random burners and so I see things, but
I texted you on, I think it was Friday, because I had been seeing it, but I missed the start.
Oh, I was there from the beginning.
And so I missed just literally the first tweet.
Yeah, this burner account named Karen tweeted a photo outside of their apartment. It was like snowy weather, absolute disgusting in Omaha. But it looked like it was dang near like part of the Eastern Bloc just because of the way the environment looked and like the walls that were up, it was desolate. And so everyone just went with it and ran with it. And it was just hilarious. And then they tweeted if Creighton won on Saturday, if Creighton won on Saturday, then everything was going to flip even more Russian related. They ended up losing, or I think it was Friday. They played St. John's and lost. But
it was funny that just I think even the official Creighton basketball account tweeted something in Russian.
Yeah, it was. That was just a fun little storyline. Cooper Flagg coming back to college?
Yeah, said he wants to, and I think it's interesting because the only motivation that I can think of is he doesn't want to go to the team that might have the number 1 overall pick.
Right.
Like if I don't blame him. I mean,
brother, Bill Simmons on a day later on his show was saying that OKC should trade 8 first-round picks that they have to trade up. Not even just trade. We're trading these 8 picks for Cooper Flagg.
Yeah.
Straight up.
I mean,
he's that highly coveted as a prospect, and he's over here saying that he wants to come back to college.
Which, I mean,
didn't say which college, just said he wants to come back.
Yeah, he could make obviously so much money coming back to college, but you know, he could also be the number 1 draft pick, so that would be absurd. That would be absurd.
And he's so young, so it just means that he'd hit free agency sooner and be able to get out of his rookie contract and get 40 M's.
Whoever's in his camp has to be like, okay, you know what? Of course he wants to come back to college. I'm sure college is great as the best player in college basketball, arguably, but it made a bunch of funny, pictures of like Cooper Flagg in a Purdue jersey and was really
in Indiana
funny.
jersey.
Yeah, it was really funny to see.
Yeah. Saturday, we talked about it. Kind of ish. Auburn beat Alabama 94-85. I was 1 ranked Auburn, 2 ranked Alabama. Janite Broom, the way the game ended, it was just, or I guess it was more so after the game, things that were said. But Broom hit a left hook after backing Diabate down into the paint, which is impressive. Period. To put Auburn up 10 with less than a minute. Then he hit Diabate with the two small.
Too small.
It was incredible. And then they started talking about it. Pearl's the first coach to win 2 ranked 1 versus 2 games ever at 2 different schools. So 2 times he's coached he did it at Tennessee.
Who did they play?
Who did Tennessee play?
Yeah.
I don't have that. But what I do have is the list of other coaches that are in that conversation. So John Wooden did it 5 times overall, all at UCLA. Coach K did it 4 times at Duke. Adolph Rupp did it 4 times at Kentucky. Dean Smith 4 times at UNC. John Thompson 3 times at Georgetown. Ed Jucker twice at Cincy. Bob Knight did it twice at Indiana, and then Guy Lewis did it twice at Houston. So those are the people who have done it multiple times. Pearl at the time had only done it once with Auburn.
Right.
And then now he is, or I guess he had only done it once prior
with Tennessee,
and then now he has done it a second time. So the first coach to ever do it twice at 2 different schools. Every other coach has done it multiple times, has been all at the same school.
Makes sense.
Then he was really complimentary of the Tuscaloosa environment. He said in all of his years coaching there, that was the most electric he's ever seen it. That's even dating back to when he was at Tennessee as well. So in the last 20 years, I think he started at Tennessee in like 2005.
Well, they're a basketball school now.
Right.
It was a basketball school
Yeah,
now.
so he said it was awesome, which you love to see that.
This is the first 1 versus 2 matchup in SEC history. They've never had a 1 versus 2 matchup because, I mean, it's they really started investing in basketball a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And it's also the very first time since Nate Oates has been there that Alabama has not led for a single second in a game. So Auburn jumped on them 9-0 right at the start, and they never lost the lead, and that's the first time in since Nate Oates has been there that they have not even led for a single second in a game.
That's bonkers.
Yeah. So, other funny moment, Terrence Shannon Jr. got his jersey retired, which is kind of crazy. He got retired at Illinois. Like he was good, is definitely good, but like, what did he do? 2 seasons there?
Yeah, but he finished his career there. So like,
but did they? I mean, maybe did they retire Kofi? I would assume.
I feel like
they better have, because both of those guys are more impactful than Terrence Shannon.
Yeah,
but
I imagine that they did. I don't know for sure though.
Yeah, they hung it upside down though. Whoever had put that up there, and before Brad Underwood went up on the post game, the AD like went up there and basically like apologized about it.
Yeah, he took the blame. He said it wasn't him, but it was his oversight, so it was his responsibility.
I wish it had been him up there hanging the thing.
Guy that really gets down in the trenches. Yeah.
He's got nothing else to worry about.
Yeah, that was I woke up. I fell asleep at like 7 p.m. on Saturday.
We were up early.
You
were up early breaking ankles.
I was just cashed. And I woke up Sunday morning, I think is when I texted. It's like, is this real?
Yeah.
Because I saw pictures and I hadn't like, that was what showed up first on my X the Everything app timeline.
Yeah.
And
you're like, hold on.
Like, as the first time I saw it, I didn't even keep scrolling. I just sent it to you. It's like, is this real? I went to you instead of just.
Yeah.
It probably would have been quicker to just read the replies.
Yeah.
But he's my guy.
It was.
Hilarious.
Yeah. Like we said, Izzo passed Bob Knight and for all-time wins. They had a nice video about it, which is really cool to see, like all the people, congratulating him and, bringing up Bob Knight in it, but then also talking about, just like how important Izzo is. Cause I think we're both Izzo fans and we like, the things he's done and like him as a person, what he's done for the community. But today, Wichita State and 14 Memphis went to overtime at Wichita State. Memphis stole the ball, like had a breakaway dunk, go up 4, and then Wichita State makes it a 2-point game with like 32 seconds left. Memphis gets the ball inbounds barely before a 5-second call. And the Memphis dude who catches it is like completely open. He's wide open. And is like just trying to grab the ball and turn and go, and he just never really controls it, and it just rolls off his fingers, goes out of bounds. And then the Wichita State goes up, takes a shot, misses it, gets a rebound, gets a putback, misses it, but gets fouled, hits 2 free throws. Memphis can't win it in regulation, and then Wichita State wins it in overtime, which is why Memphis needs to get out of the AAC, because you're ranked 14th, but your resume is not great because you're only playing AAC teams, and then you lose to a Wichita State who's like only now has 5 wins in conference, and you're just having to step over landmines every single game.
When they were signing the conference paperwork, do you think they just thought it was the ACC? But in fact, it was the AAC.
Because they've been trying to get out of the AAC, but like
when they first started, is it like, we'll join this conference, thinking it was the ACC.
Well, the AAC was better.
That's also
they had
true.
like UCF and Cincinnati.
That's also true. Northwestern Nebraska played today. I can't remember the score, but Nebraska won. But a few things that I thought were kind of notable. Remember, there's no Barnheiser, no Leach. When I wrote that, I was like, Barnheiser and Leach sounds like a law firm. Sounds like a law firm.
Yeah.
Been watching a lot of, well, I haven't been lately, but I watched a lot of Suits. So I have law firm names in my mind. Wild thing happened, though. Pirovino for Nebraska went up for a breakaway dunk. Absolutely whiffed it due to I wrote slight breeze from getting bumped by a Nebraska player. Barely got touched. They reviewed it, called an F1 because they called it excessive and vulnerable. Homie just grazed his thigh.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, how is that excessive and vulnerable?
The flagrants are out of control. The flagrants are flagrant this year, dude.
Yeah, but the dude's on the call. The broadcasters were eating it up. They're like, yeah, it was bad. Definitely should be a flagrant one.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't see it. I guess that's why I'm sitting here and not on the TV or on the court reffing.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Boo Booey was there. Not sure why. I imagine with it being All-Star break, that probably made an impact. But I thought maybe they were retiring his jersey or something because
he
should have a statue.
Yeah.
But Northwestern in the end was not clutch at all. And knowing that Boo was there, I'm just curious if he was twisting and turning in his seat. Get me out there. Get me out there.
In this.
So that was my notes there.
Bradley won at Drake. They were 6.5 point underdogs and they won. Bradley had a nice fake screen action and Drake couldn't hit on the other end. It was dude went up for a screen and then just slipped, just rolled to the hoop and he's passed to and won.
Yeah, I was watching the replay of that I was watching the Fox broadcast because they're just a bunch of games back to back. And Mike Hill in the booth, he was in the booth, or I guess in the studio with Alfonso Ellis. Mike Hill says it's been a rough year for Drake. Then said, I'm talking about the Canadian one.
Yeah.
And then he was talking about the final play. And he goes, but Bradley told them they not like us.
That's pretty good.
It's Mans is making a Kendrick reference here. Let's go. Then I thought it was kind of funny. Halftime of the Maryland-Iowa game, Gary Williams, who's a legendary Maryland coach, he's who won their natty. He walked over to the broadcast team. I think Robbie was on the call and someone else. And was talking about how he was like, I know these teams can shoot. Their defense is suspect. Homie's just saying Iowa and Maryland, sus defense. Thought that was funny. And then we talked about last week, JG lost his tooth. Well, they talked about it more this week. Apparently, they got the tooth.
Yeah.
The tooth had the full root still intact. So they went into the locker room, shoved it back up in there.
That makes me want to crawl out of my skin.
Yeah.
Just the thought of that.
They said that, and I was just like, what? Just shove. First off, I think of sterility issues. Did they just throw that? Did they clean it?
Now he's got a hair in his mouth forever.
Right. It definitely touched the floor. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
But they just showed. I'm obviously the medical staff are trained to do that. I don't know. But they're trained enough
finally, my time.
They're trained enough to know that the root was still there. And I imagine they cleaned it, but JG was playing today.
Yeah.
And he still had a mouth, so it's probably not infected.
Not whistling while he was breathing.
Yeah. But he said he shoved it back into his mouth, and I lost it. I could not believe that. Think about how painful that would be.
That's got to be more painful than having it knocked out.
I think so. Definitively.
Because it was immediately swelling.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. No thanks. No thanks. Give me a fake one.
All right. Next week, what do we got?
Monday on the 17th, our game of the day is Arizona at Baylor. Arizona's half-point favorites. That's at 10 p.m. Arizona's 2 games back from Houston at 11-3, and Baylor's 8-6, so they're not doing great. But Arizona, if they want to have any chance of catching Houston, they have to win this game. So it should be a good game, though.
Our Tuesday, February 18th game of the day is Illinois at Wisconsin. Wisconsin are 4.5-point favorites. 8:30 tip. Wisconsin is currently 10-4 in the Big Ten, and then Illinois is 9-7. Like we saw, or I guess talked about, Wisconsin is currently a top 16 seed, so they want to keep that. They need to win this game.
Yeah, and their jerseys will be upside down, so that'll be cool. Wednesday on the 19th, our game of the day is Alabama at Missouri. Missouri is actually favored by 2, which is interesting. That game's at 9 p.m. Bama is now, after they lost, Bama to Auburn, they are now 1 game back, and Missouri's 3 games back. But Missouri has been killing people when you know playing them in the SEC, and so getting some surprise wins. So Alabama is going to have to play well to win that game.
Yep. Thursday, February 20th, game of the day is UT Martin at Tennessee Tech. Tennessee Tech are 2.5-point favorites. It's 8:30. Remember, we need UT Martin to lose if USI wants to have any kind of chance at making top 8 in the OVC. So from here on out, we are we are anti-UT Martin.
Yeah. Friday the 21st, our game of the day is Michigan State at Michigan, in-state rivalry. Michigan's favored by 4. That's at 8 p.m., but Michigan State's 1 game back of Michigan. If Michigan won today, which they did, yes, they won out at Ohio State, so they are 1 game back. So very big implications. If you're a Purdue fan, you're rooting for Michigan State.
Yes. Our Saturday, February 22nd game of the day, we've got. Is this right?
Yeah.
Okay. Duke playing Illinois in Madison Square Garden. That's at 8 p.m. Duke are 6-point favorites. Didn't think it was real, clearly, but February game in MSG, non-conference game. Is really cool.
It's incredible. It needs to happen. This is cooler than the Max Sunbelt Challenge almost.
What's in the MSG? So I think it would.
Well, Max Sunbelt Challenge is more games, so like that's cooler, and it's like you know
that's true.
But this is cool to see. I want more of these things. Play anyone, anywhere. Sunday the 23rd, our game of the day is UConn at St. John's. St. John's is favored by 6.5. That's at noon on Sunday. This is the return game after St. John's beat them in Gamble. So this one will be in MSG. So MSG on Saturday for Illinois Duke, and then MSG on Sunday for UConn St. John's.
All right. Now we have Guess the Game of the Week.
Yes, sir.
To recap, Adam is 4-10. I am 3-11. And I believe I read my clue first.
Yeah.
All right.
Go first.
So it's got a kind of a two name hint. There's 2 names to it, in the sense of like I'm calling it.
Just give it to me. Just give it to me. Let it rip.
It's the Lion King and Tiger King crossover with the Battle of Walmart. It's the Battle of Walmart. They can also be considered a Lion King Tiger King crossover.
Lion King Tiger King crossover. Battle of Walmart.
Battle of Walmart.
Walmart has to be Arkansas because where Walmart is. And then Tiger King, my gut says like LSU is what my gut says. But I don't know. He seems like a Florida guy, you know? But it's been so long since I saw Tiger King. I'm going to let it rip and say LSU, Arkansas.
You had Arkansas.
Yeah, I figured that one was.
It was not LSU. It was Missouri. The connection is Sam Walton, pretty much the more commonly known founder of Walmart, is a Missouri alum.
Okay.
His brother, Bud Walton, Arkansas alum, also the name of Arkansas's arena. And then the more Arkansas connection in the Lion King, Tiger King. So it's Tiger King being the Missouri Tigers, Lion King being Pumbaa, the Warthog, the Hogs, Arkansas. You got to Arkansas either way.
See, you had me at Lion King. I was focusing on Tiger King, clearly.
Yeah. Yep. So that game is Missouri at Arkansas, 8 p.m. Saturday, February 22nd.
Interesting. So one of the Sam Walton went to Missouri?
Yep.
Never would have known.
Bud Walton, his younger brother, who is not commonly associated. Sam's Club.
Right.
Sam Walton
Bud
is
Walton Arena.
He named it that, yeah. But you've got Walmart money, you can name anything.
Right.
So Adam is 4-11.
Do you want the easy one or the hard one?
I want the hard one.
Do you really?
No.
You sure? Oh, you said it.
Is that even a question?
It is a question, and you said hard one. I'll give you the hard one. I'll give you the hard one as a warm up.
Okay. I hate it already.
All right, here's the hard one. Pilots trailblazing for the Big Ocean Tigers.
Oh, buddy. Pirates trailblazing.
Pilots trailblazing for the Big Ocean Tigers.
Well, when you say pilots, I think Marshall.
21 pilots.
Pilots. Jets, planes, train. No.
The New York Jets.
Big Ocean Tigers?
Correct.
Big Ocean Tigers. If I think of like on the Pacific Coast or the East Coast, Tigers. I don't know any like East Coast Tigers. There's probably all the Tiger schools are in the South, like around the Gulf. I guess LSU. And pilots. Who's in the SEC that are pilots?
Everybody's in the SEC. Eventually, we'll all be in the SEC.
Dude, probably. You know, the SEC is 500 in conference play.
I have heard that.
I looked earlier and I thought I said 98, 96. I was like, oh, I got him. No, it was just Torvik's site sometimes to read with numbers like that because they were tiny. I was hoping that like a game hadn't been played or something. Pilots. No, I'm not gonna go. I don't think it's LSU. I've got no idea. I have no idea.
So pilots trailblazing for the Big Ocean Tigers. Portland pilots. So Portland Trailblazers pilots, their mascot.
Did not know.
For the Big Ocean Tigers, Big Ocean, that's the Pacific Tigers.
I
learned both of their mascots today, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, but here's your real one. I'll give you the real one. That was just a warm up. I made that and I was like, that's pretty good. He will not get that. I am going to make a new one. I was like, okay. I'll keep going there. All right.
Okay.
All right, let's test your college basketball knowledge here. My game of the week is Nerds versus Nuts.
Nerds versus Nuts.
Can you figure out the Nerds versus Nuts game?
Well, my first thought is Northwestern Wisconsin. And I'm going to ride with it.
You're so close. You want a second guess? I'm not going to tell you which one's wrong or which one's right. You want a second guess? I will give you a second guess here.
Nerds. Who's nerdy? That's not Northwestern. I think Nuts. I think I'm on it with Wisconsin. Am I close because I have one of them?
You do have one of them.
Okay. I think Wisconsin is Nuts. Who would they play that's nerdy? USC? Wisconsin USC?
Your first one is closer. Oh. Nerds versus Nuts. is Northwestern at Ohio State.
Oh,
Buckeyes.
I was thinking Nuts, the flagrant 2 nut with Wisconsin.
See, I thought you were thinking like, people call Wisconsin Bucky, so then Bucky, but then I was like, that makes you think of Buckeyes. Nuts. Dang. Nerds versus Nuts is Northwestern at Ohio State, Thursday, February 20th at 6:30 p.m.
I am.
If you got the Nerds
12.
versus Nuts game in the chat, oh my gosh, the dude in the somebody in the Twitter comments said when he said Pacific Coast, I thought he had it, and then he did comment Ohio State, so it's a good thing you did. You didn't check that.
No, I don't know why that. Usually the Twitter chat's supposed to show up here. It's not. That's unfortunate.
I appreciate you. You almost gave it to him.
Dang.
Yep.
That's the one chat I don't have up on my computer.
Nerds versus Nuts. That was, you're so close. I was like, I appreciate that you got nerds immediately. I appreciate that you got nerds immediately. So close.
Oh, anything else?
I'm just trying to get you to four wins, man. I thought I was gonna have you there.
I might not get 4 until ever.
Bro, it'll be fun when we get to the NCAA tournament when we guess. I'm gonna make you do one every round. One for each round. No, just one for each region.
Ooh, that could be fun.
We'll pick the same game probably.
Find out.
Okay.
Our hints won't be the same.
That's true. I was gonna say we'll send it to a third party and be like, tell us if we picked the same games.
Ooh.
But then we would both have to then switch because then we would know what the other one has.
That's true. No, let's just let it ride because then
all right.
Our hints will never be the same. I can almost guarantee it.
I don't know.
You know how my brain works.
Exactly. What if I try and come up with a clue as you? Like
find out.
I try and get in your head same time you try and get in my head.
I'm talking about pilots and big oceans, and you're talking about Walmart.
Yeah. Well,
the Blues.
It's very interesting how different and like how a game that jumps out to you will not even jump out to me or something.
I didn't realize when I made mine, I was only filtering by top 25 teams.
Oh, did you really?
I forgot to switch the filter on the ESPN
funny.
app when I was looking at the schedule.
Funny.
All right. Well, I think that's all we've got.
Wait. A dude who writes for the Horizon.
Mm-hmm.
He made something all for the rest of the season for the Horizon League. If all of these things happen, basically, there is a way to have a 6-way tie for first in the Horizon League with Youngstown State, Robert Morris, Oakland, Cleveland State, Fort Wayne, and Milwaukee all being 13-7.
That's awesome.
I would not like that to happen because for that to happen, Fort Wayne has to lose to Oakland, and then win against and then win against Northern Kentucky and win against Cleveland State. I would just like them to win, but like it's crazy. Like IU-Indy has to beat Detroit Mercy. Like that comes in. Like I don't think that necessarily. I guess that does matter because of like the placing and ties. It's weird. It will be So it's like, for example, Cleveland State with Fort Wayne and Oakland above Milwaukee and below Robert Morris and Youngstown State based on round robin record 5-5, above Fort Wayne and below Oakland based on round robin record 2-2. So they would be tied for first but fourth out of 6. Like it's crazy.
That's wild. Well, a fun note to end on, but remember to like and subscribe. It helps us. It goes a long way. We've already got the Crow's Nest Coffee sponsoring our power rankings, but the more we can grow, the more we can provide benefit-wise back to our listeners and viewers. So it's really easy to just click that button. It is also completely free. So check that out. But clock is showing quadruple zeros, so it's time for us to get out of here. Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball podcast. We will see you next week. And remember, in 49 states,
it's just basketball.